Okay friends, in this video we're going to talk about some of the tools that an electrician will use on a daily basis in the theater. And then after that we're going to talk a little bit about troubleshooting, which means how to figure out why there is no light coming out of a light. And we're going to talk about how to repair said troubleshoot, and then we're going to talk a little bit about safety, because we are all about safety. So let's get started with tools. So on the table here we have a wide range of tools. Now, you wouldn't use every single one of these, but these are just some of the ones that are most commonly used. We're going to start with our handy dandy tape measure, because without this we don't exactly know where our lights are going. Now, some people will say that lighting is an exact science, or some people say that it is an exact science. It's up for debate. That being said, if you need to know exactly where a light goes, or at least roughly where a light goes, a tape measure is incredibly handy. Now, the only thing that proves probably handier than that would be this, the C crescent or open-ended adjustable wrench. It has many names, just like everything in theater. With this wrench, I can hang, manipulate, work on, repair any sort of light or lighting instrument that is out there in the industry right now. Everything lighting related is kind of designed around being manipulated or operated or fixed with this wrench. Well, maybe not fixed, but you get the idea. These are very cheap, very easy to find. You can get them at any sort of tool hardware or at a Home Depot or any place that you can really think of. I've seen these at 7-Elevens before. Fun fact. Apart from that, with the C wrench, you want to add a leash to it. Now this is a leash. Gotta wait for it to stop there. And okay, there we go. The leash is a large piece of heavy-duty elastic, kind of like a bungee cord or a bungee rope. The reason why we have our leashes is because more often than not, we are working above people's heads. And because we are working above people's heads, it is considered bad form and kind of rude to have a loose tool or an unsecured tool above that person's head, especially when you take said unsecured tool and drop it on someone. Joe McAlonin. The easiest way to avoid that is with a leash. Secure your crescent wrench to your leash, and when it drops, it does not fall on our table or on your technical director's head, Joe. So, apart from that, the crescent wrench is probably the most used tool in the lighting industry. There are various models of the crescent wrench. A standard one is all you need, ever. Now the next tool we have is the speed wrench. Now, despite the fact that this does not actually look like a wrench, it does work like one. So the speed wrench has 1, 2, 3 apertures that are basically lighting instrument specific. I would not use this tool to hang lights, despite the fact that I have. I would use this tool to focus lights. The reason being is that all of the equipment on this tool is basically geared toward lighting instruments and nothing else. I couldn't really use this for carpentry. Maybe as a hammer, but again, we don't do that, at least not anymore. The apertures control a couple of different pieces of hardware on your lighting instrument. The smallest one controls the pan bolt, or the bucket nut, so aptly named. The second largest hole controls the lighting C-clamp bolt, and then the largest one controls the yoke bolt. And with all 3 of these, I can very quickly tighten or loosen, by changing the direction, the tightness or looseness of some of the hardware that's on the lighting instrument. Again, very handy during a focus, not so handy during a hang, not so handy for anything else other than lighting. Next, we have our screwdriver. This is a specific one that comes with a interchangeable head, and I can put either a Phillips or a flathead or a torque head or any other sort of bit that I need to on this one. All of mine are stored in the back here. This is not a lighting specific tool, just my own personal one that I've come to use all the time. Any basic screwdriver will do in a pinch. But again, if it's not secured onto your light with a bolt, it's secured onto it with a screw, and you can use this to get it off. Also very handy for prying things open. Next, you have a pair of wire cutters. Great for cutting through wire. Yeah. Also with the large flat head right here, this is great for grabbing, crimping, and twisting wires together. Primarily I'm using the cutting function though. Or, hammer. Okay, next we have these. Now these are called wire strippers. What they do is that around all electric wiring cable there is insulation or a covering that basically helps to prevent a human hand from touching the copper and then shocking yourself and potentially killing you. These are designed to strip away that casing or the insulation. The way they work is you have the main looking channel part right here. Sorry for giving you the finger. Take your wire, put it in, make it stop the stopper, grip and squeeze, and generally it's supposed to strip all that away. Let me try that again. So after a couple of tries, this does not want to work, and that is one of the reasons why I don't like these. Actually, you can see that it's starting to work right there, but I should only have been able to do that in one go. That brings us to these. These are also wire strippers, but they are, in my opinion, a little bit better. They can do a couple of things. One is they have a wire cutter built into it, therefore rendering this guy obsolete. They can also strip a number of gauges of wires, as opposed to this one, which can strip any wire. This one can only strip a few certain ones. This one can strip anything that's in that size. However, I'm never really dealing with anything that's larger than any of these gauges right here. So I could take this guy, come back to where this one was, pop that off, and now it's just with one go. It also on the end has a crimper, so I can take this, squeeze these strands together so that they can't come undone, and there are also two other cutters on the inside. I've always prefer these types of wire strippers as opposed to these, despite the fact that they are cooler and slightly easier to use. This one's more straightforward. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease to get it done, and also a better grip. Okay, next we got our flashlight. Ta-da! Now, this is pretty self-explanatory. A lot of the times when we're working with lights, usually during focus or any other point, all of the pipes and other fixtures are down at the ground so that we don't have to work on stuff up in the air. Now, that's not always the case, but generally when we're working with lighting, we are working in the dark. And so in order to see, flashlight. They come in your basic handheld style. You could also be a giant dork like me and get one that attaches to your hat. This is highly recommended because it allows you to use both your hands at the sacrifice of looking like an idiot. Next we have gloves. Now, my gloves are a little worse for the wear. They're about 3 or 4 years old and I need to replace them, but they are still incredibly handy. These are thick leather hide gloves. They serve two important purposes as an electrician. One, they insulate me from electricity, not very well, but they do absorb some of the electricity flowing through stuff so that I don't get badly shocked or shocked at all. The other thing is because they are made of such thick and heavy-hided leather, they are very, very heat-proof. So when I am working on a light that some jerk has left on for like an hour and then they tell me, hey, go fix that light, when I touch it with my gloves, I'm not going to burn the crap out of my hand. As opposed to when I touch it without gloves, then I do burn the crap out of my hand. Okay, we also have gaff tape, not really a tool, it's more of an expendable, but it's very important and we use a lot of it. A lot of people will ask, hey, why don't you use electrical tape? Electrical tape is great. I will use it for certain things. You see it used on event stuff a lot, but not necessarily for theatrical lighting. We don't use duct tape. The biggest reason is because gaff tape has an adhesive on the back that allows a relatively clean removal, as opposed to duct tape. When you remove that, it's going to leave behind this gunky, sticky, awful residue that you can't really clean off without an industrial strength cleaner. Now the last tool we have that before we get into our safety stuff, which is over here, is this guy. So this guy is called a multi-tool. Ta-da! So a multi-tool is a pair of pliers that folds up, but it is also a tool that has several, screwdriver, other tools, belt loop, clippy thing, built into it, can opener. So that way you are carrying multiple tools, knife, flathead screwdriver, another can opener, or actually that's a beer bottle opener, very important, and then some flathead screwdrivers. You're carrying multiple tools on you at once. That way you're not carrying a large, heavy satchel or pouch full of tools. Now, despite the fact that these exist, depending on what I need to do, I would actually prefer to use one of the other hand tools as opposed to this guy. With the hand tools, like this screwdriver, I could get it into a hard to reach place because of the long neck, and I'm going to have a better twist and torque on it. With this guy, the screwdriver, the Phillips head, is about that long. This is really great for quick fixes where I have a lot of room to work, a lot of space to move the tool around in, but in tight spaces or in awkward to reach places, not so much. The only thing the multi-tool doesn't have is a flashlight. But the one thing the multi-tool does have over all these other things is that when I open it, it makes that really cool clicky sound, and that's why I like it so much. So the last couple of tools that we have to show are the safety tools over here. We have a voltmeter, or a voltage tester. This one's called a Wiggy. I don't know why, it's just a brand name. I would take these two, leads, and I would touch these to contact points on my lighting instrument, specifically on my plug. If this goes off or if it gives me a reading, I know that there's electricity flowing through it. Now, a more compact, simplified version of this guy, there we go, would be this one. This is called a continuity checker. So with this one, when I turn it on, if I touch it to something that does not have electricity flowing through it, it does not go off. However, if I touch it to something that does have electricity flowing through it, like this phone charger, for example, red generally means bad, or that there's an electrical presence detected. Now, these are incredibly sensitive. Sometimes they can give misleading readings. That being said, I will always trust this over anything else, just because even if it does give me a false reading on something, I don't want to touch that regardless, because electricity in the human body doesn't work all that well together, or at least so I'm told. The last guy we have is the, holding it upside down, the GAM check. Now this is an extremely useful tool. Now with the GAM check, you could also call this a continuity checker. However, this is lighting, at least theatrical lighting specific. It has a 2PNG male plug and 2PNG receptacle on the ends of it, and I can use this to see if I either have a dead or continuous lamp. I could also use it to see if I have electricity running through my cable or electrical circuit in my theater space. The way it works is if I want to check lamp continuity, I have this fun little switch. There is a funny looking little symbol on there that's supposed to represent a lamp. I would take my 2PNG plug that's connected to my lighting instrument, I would plug it into here, and it would give me a fun yelly noise. Give me a second. So again, take my 2PNG male plug coming out of my lighting instrument, plug it in, and if it screams at me, it means that the lamp is good. There's electricity running out of a battery that's running in here through my electrical system and going back through the other end, therefore rendering it that there is continuity in the lamp. Yay. To test the other end, or at least the other functions, I would switch it from lamp over to cable, and then I would plug the male end into a piece of extension cable. Now, I don't have a dimmer here to test this out with, so I'm just going to have to explain it to you. When this happens, a couple of things could happen. Generally, what will happen is that there will be two little green lights there and there that pop up. That means everything's okay. Huzzah. The worst thing that can happen is that none of the lights will pop up. That means one of two things: that there's no power running through your electrical circuit, or that there is an open hot wire somewhere. And remember, the hot wire is the wire that carries the electricity through your electrical system first. All of the codes are on this handy dandy sticker diagram on here to help you tell what is wrong / what the lights when they light up mean. Follow that and it tells you how to fix it. And that is the game check. So, in conclusion, these are just some of the tools that we commonly use as electricians in the theater on a day-to-day basis. Now, we're not using these tools every single day because we're not working on lights every single day. That being said, if you were to run into an electrician in the outside world, they would probably have one, some, or all of these tools. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or post them on the discussion board. And next, we're going to talk about troubleshooting a light.